Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Workshoppable. Thank you for tuning in if it's the 4th time or even the first time you've listened to this podcast. If you're hearing this air on XPress Radio, we have a YouTube channel at workshop-able at youtube.com where you can find all past episodes and possibly a bit more as well. My guest today is Ben Tedds. Ben is a writer of many talents, but mainly they work on audio, especially for Big Finish productions. I asked Ben what he's been up to, what he's working on, and what he looks forward to in the future. At the end of the episode, I dramatise one of Ben's half-finished ideas. But first, let's get to know a little bit more about them. Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome back to the Workshoppable podcast. We're currently on episode 4, and oh boy do I have a special guest for you. Ben Tedds, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much, Catherine Wheeler. How are you?
I am absolutely fantastic. Ben, I've been following Ben on for about a year and a half. God, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't get rid of her. She just peeks up from behind the wheelie bins. Very disturbing.
just stalking through the bushes, yeah. On the same Twitter sphere, you should call it, probably. I don't know. It's very much a noisy, big Doctor Who-y sphere-y thing. Anyway, Ben, one thing... quite a boring question I always ask everyone that comes on the podcast. What do you do in your day-to-day life? So I know you're at uni and you're taking a screenwriting course. What sort of thing does that entail?
So the screenwriting course at the University of Chichester is quite a broad one. Not necessarily in terms of the actual mediums that we study, but in terms of the content that is actually on the course, what you actually learn about screenwriting, as opposed to just, oh, here's a radio play, write that, or why don't you try writing a TV script? No, so the first year of my course was essentially just theory. So we were breaking down screenwriting structure, how to create characters, looking at various genres, breaking down those genres and the various conventions of those. And it's only been in the second year where we've actually gone, okay, how about you actually write a finished script now? So, for instance, last semester we were writing 2 short films, and we also had to do a TV Bible for a precinct drama that we created, and this semester we're writing those scripts for the precinct drama. And we're doing all sorts of other great stuff, such as outlining feature films, and creating pitches for video games, which is something that I'm really excited for. God. Yeah.
That is so incredibly cool.
Actually, today I had my first lecture on our comedy module, which is very scary because I'm not naturally like a stand-up comic, but we have to do stand-up comedy. So we have to do...
They make you do stand-up comedy?
Yeah,
as
genuinely.
Part of the course?
Yeah, 3 to 5 minutes of stand-up.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's terrifying. So I was busy sat there in class going, what the hell am I meant to be doing? I'm not funny. I don't write one-liners or anything. And the weird thing is, I do because that's what you do in writing. You just write something. Yeah. You write a bit of dialogue that you just find funny, but you don't naturally think that it's like that's a joke. That's just, oh, that's a nice bit of dialogue that I wrote. But now that I actually have to consciously start coming up with material for this 3 to 5 minutes of stand-up that I'm doing,
Oh, do you know the people you're going to be performing to? Like, is it your classmates or is it just a completely new audience?
I'm going to assume it's my classmates, but we haven't been told any specific details. We do have someone in our class who's repeating second year, so I could always ask him. But he was repeating second year during COVID year, so might be a bit of a problem there.
Yeah. Would you find it better performing to people you know, or would you find it sort of more energizing performing in front of a totally new audience?
I think I'd find it better for a new audience, because I always get a bit embarrassed doing things in front of my friends. Weirdly, especially family members. I can't.
Oh God, yeah.
I just can't do. I really like doing acting as a hobby, musical theatre and that, and I really hate it when my family's in the audience. It really puts me off for some reason. But total strangers, I could do a show in front of 1,000 people and probably be absolutely fine. But put my mum in there, and I'm like, no, not happening. Not happening.
Yeah. God. So the stuff you do on your screenwriting course sounds extremely varied, first of all, but is it the sort of, does it match up with what you like to do in your spare time, what you like to write in your spare time and as a job?
Well, it's quite funny, actually, because I realised quite recently that the stories that I'm working on in my course, on my course for the various modules that I've got, they're just time travel stories. I'm so drawn to time travel, and I feel quite bad about it, because at some point, one of my lecturers is going to notice that all I'm writing is time travel stories. But I can't help it. I love time travel. I think it's a brilliant plot device, and you can do so much crazy stuff with it, especially, like, depending on the various mediums that you've got. So this semester, I'm writing a feature film outline, which involves time travel. And that's being used in a totally different way to the time travel that I'm pitching for my video game pitch. In that the time travel becomes a mechanic, a device to help progress the story forward in the video game and give the players something interesting to do. Whereas the time travel in this film is more about somebody coming back and attempting to change what's already happened, rather than being used as a mechanic, if that makes any kind of sense. I do apologise, by the way, dear listener. I'm not very good at speaking. I'm very good with writing what I done, but speaking is not my strong suit. Why did I agree to come on this podcast, dear listener?
So I manipulated you into it.
No, you were the only one who said yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I just put on Twitter, like, oh, it'd be fun to do a podcast, and Kat, bless her, was like, come on, and I said, that sounds really fun.
Oh, send a DM to Josh Carr. Get yourself on Who Knew.
Oh,
Honestly,
I'd love to do Who Knew. I think it's a great podcast. I'd love to do that.
I'm not sure where he's up to with the series and that, but he's roping in guests well ahead of time. I know Dom's gone on there a few times, Sophie. But yeah, thank you for coming on my humble little podcast. What was I going to ask? Yeah, time travel is my genre as well, if you can call it a genre, because instead of having one setting, one present, you've got literally the whole of history to pick from. And when people say, oh, it's a time travel story, I think they're kind of missing something in the fact that you can cover whenever you want in a time travel story. You're not bound by the sort of realms of time, or, oh, I'm running out of time to do this thing. So I think when people are a bit snobby about the genre, it's not very kind of them, because they're missing out on so much. So I completely understand why literally time travel is the best sort of area for you. So you kind of match what you do in your screenwriting course to sort of what you do outside of your course as well. So you've obviously come into the writing world. You've come into the writing world from an earlier age than most people, but you've actually found work as well. So you recently got commissioned, I think, for the Big Finish Short Trips Volume 11, which I'm gonna buy and is out this month, actually. So, ooh.
Yeah, it was really surprising to me to get that second commission, because the first commission was through the Paul Spragg Memorial Opportunity, and that was a massive surprise as well, because it's just 500 words of extract and 500 word synopsis, and throughout the whole thing I was just sort of going, oh, why am I here? Why have you picked me? That 500 word extract was rubbish. I know I've signed the contract now, so there's no backing out for any of us, but we're just gonna have to get on with it and do what we can. So the second commission came pretty much immediately afterwards, which is weird, because that's 2019 and it's only just coming out, which just shows, just goes to show how long this process takes sometimes. To be fair, a pandemic did sort of get in the way a little bit, but but that was such a surprise, but also a real, I suppose, affirmation of me, which really helped with my confidence in my work. I don't want to sound arrogant here and say, oh, I'm the best writer since sliced bread, because I know I'm not. I'm just somebody trying to make his way, make a career for himself. But being told you can do this effectively by getting a second commission was honestly one of the best things in the world. One of the best things that's happened to me. And I'm massively grateful for the opportunities that I've been given, and it has opened doors for me. One very specific door, which I can't talk about at all at the moment, as is often the way with writing things. And I'm not just talking about Big Finish here. Whilst Big Finish is obviously something which is something I want to do more of in the future, and hopefully I will. I've got other avenues that I wish to pursue, and one of those has sort of flung itself open to me, which is quite exciting.
Interesting. I'll hopefully hear more about that in the future. In layman's terms, so for people who don't follow Big Finish or don't know what Big Finish is, what is the Paul Spragg competition, and why is it so sort of big in the Doctor Who sphere, and how could somebody who's never heard about it enter it?
Okay, so in 2014, I think it was, a producer for the audio drama production company Big Finish, Paul Spragg, very sadly passed away. Big Finish is known for mainly its Doctor Who audio dramas and ranges. And A Short Trip is a 40-odd minute, 5,000 word short story, essentially. It's a narrated audiobook, although they have recently been getting into making these short trips into mini-dramas, usually with one actor playing two characters, an impressionist, so it makes more sense. But in 2016, I think it was... I'm pretty sure it was 2016. Yeah. Big Finish decided to commemorate the life of Paul Spragg by introducing the yearly Paul Spragg Memorial Short Trips opportunity. And what this means is that for 1 month every year between May and June, any person at all can submit a pitch for a short trip, and that includes a synopsis of about 500 words and an opening extract from that story of about 500 words. And the winning pitch will get made. You will be contracted to write yourself to write a short trip for Big Finish, which is quite a daunting task on the one hand, but also one of the most brilliant things that you can do, especially if it's your first entry into the writing world, because it does throw you into the world of, hang on, we've got to write professionally now, but also you'll be working with, assuming he continues producing the range, we'll be working with Alfie Shaw, who is an absolutely wonderful man, love him to bits, and he recognises that this is most likely your first professional production, so he will take you through it and guide you through it and answer all of the questions, the itty-bitty questions that you had. And I remember when I first got the contract for it, and I read through it, and I was like, am I stupid, or do I not understand what some of these things mean? So I just emailed Alfie really quick, and he was like, you do realise that you've read this contract in more detail than most writers. Oh. But yeah, it's something that anyone can do, and given that it's only 1,000 words, essentially, it's 1,000 words, and you've got a month to write it, and all year to come up with that idea, I don't see why anybody should not be entering this, especially if you really want to be a writer. I mean, if you don't really know much about Doctor Who, then probably it's not going to be your thing. But if you do know a bit about Doctor Who, then just go for it. Absolutely go for it, because you might be that one person who has that one thing that nobody else has thought of, to say or to write, to come up with, and that might be the one idea that makes your career.
Yeah. It's a competition as well that doesn't rely on you having really, really intimate knowledge of Doctor Who lore, and it's something I've been trying to. I the president of Creative Writing Society, and people in my society will go, Catherine, I can't enter it. I don't know enough about the magazine. I don't know enough about the show. But that's exactly how you get stuff. Even if you know little to nothing about Who, you think, oh, I just watch it on the TV. I can't possibly know about Doctor Who. Just enter it. That's the thing. Just enter it.
And actually, there are two stories which I would really recommend that you listen to. These stories that are released are free, by the way, so you don't even have to pay for them. But there are two stories that I would recommend that you listen to if you don't know that much about Doctor Who and you still want to enter this contest, which are mine, The Best Laid Plans, I'm not being biased here, The Best Laid Plans, and Eugenie Pusenjak's absolutely brilliant Free Speech. And the reason that I recommend those is because the Doctor isn't really in them. The Doctor Who format and universe is used as a medium through which the writer's story is told. And in the case of Free Speech, for instance, that's a story, quite a meta one, about a society that only has a limited amount of words, where you have to pay to speak. And the Doctor does turn up and helps out a bit and helps to save the day, but mostly it's about this one character in this one small corner of Eugenie Pusenjak's own universe that just so happens to now cross over into the Doctor Who sandbox.
Yeah. I've not got around to listening to it. Shame on me, but when this April swings around, I inevitably will be. Moving on slightly, do you pitch a lot of stuff to a lot of people? Or basically, do you have a lot of ideas swimming around in your head that some get made and some sort of stay in the mind space, as it were?
Interesting question. I think with a lot of pitches, it just depends on the brief. So with a brief, it's often I will have an idea straight away. I'll be like, I know what I can do for this, because you've given me a very specific set of elements, and I can see a way that they fit together. But sometimes it's a matter of this brief is too broad. So I need to go away and think for a bit, and in that case, the first place that I'll usually turn is my phone, because I use this wonderful app called Diaro. I think it's called? Yeah, Diaro. And this is just a notes gathering app, and it allows you to have multiple folders. You can insert pictures, voice recordings, all those kind of things. It's brilliant, and it all backs up into the cloud, so I can have it across multiple devices. I do all of my stuff in the cloud. Love the cloud. Best invention of the modern era, the cloud. And I just have a little folder there of just ideas, just called ideas, and there's about 130 notes in there at the moment, and it could be, but we're not talking like fully fleshed out ideas for stories. We're just talking like random thoughts of the day. We're just talking about random images that I might have seen, or things that I might have dreamed that I just vaguely remember and I've written down, and it'll often be a matter of I just read through that and see something and then realise, oh, that's really quite compatible with the brief, actually. And we dig into that. But often it is just a matter of I just have to see what the brief is and see what I can come up with over previous days, over subsequent days even. For instance, the most recent brief that I've had for something, that took me quite a few days of thinking to come up with a few ideas for it, because it was a very specific brief, but also quite a broad one at the same time, which was really difficult, because I was told that I had to write in this sort of style of way, in this specific style, to for many reasons. Sorry, I have to be so vague with this because it's all new stuff. But over recent days, I've been just jotting things down on my whiteboard when they come to me. They might come to me in the shower, when I'm brushing my teeth or something, when I'm out and about. And together they are forming puzzle pieces. And I can't quite see how they fit together yet, but they will fit together. And it might just be something that somebody else says that makes me go, oh, of course.
Yeah, you have a eureka
pieces.
moment, and
Yes.
it's like, whoosh.
Yeah.
Yes. It's fantastic. Yeah, so am I right in thinking you're a big Radio 4 fan? Getting right to it now. Yeah, I am also a huge Radio 4 fan. Are you quite a do you listen to the afternoon dramas that BBC Radio 4 run, or is it more just a comedy thing, a fact thing, a fiction thing?
I feel really bad because I should listen to the afternoon dramas because some of them, they sound so brilliant. There was one that keeps popping up on BBC Sounds for me. Let me see if I can find it, which I'm just like, oh, I should listen to that. Hang on. It's loading. My sounds. It's gone.
Damn.
Ah, that's really annoying. That's awful. But yeah. Oh no. Here it is. What's Love Got to Do with It? Which is about people who manage sex and love lives via apps and algorithms, which I thought was a brilliant idea, and also one that is vaguely like one that a play that I wrote a few years ago. So I'm interested to see where somebody else goes with that idea. But with Radio 4, for me, it's comedy. I absolutely adore the comedy stuff. So Monday Night Comedy, I'm absolutely there for it. So Just a Minute, The Unbelievable Truth, just. Oh, I love those. I'd love to do Just a Minute one day. I applied for the junior version.
Sorry, I haven't a clue.
Oh, yes.
Did?
I applied for the junior version when it was a thing, and I never heard back. I was very sorry. Got quite salty about it as well, because I listened to the junior version, and there was just one boy I remember on him, bless him, he just couldn't. He just couldn't do it.
Oh, and they can't re-record it as well, because they've got that. Oh, no. Yeah, probably why it got tucked away in the archives. Yeah, I'm a huge I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue fan.
Me too. I've been to 3 recordings. I absolutely love that show.
3 recordings as in 3 separate ones, or where they do it back to back?
3 back-to-backs. So I saw a back-to-back in Bath in about 2016, back-to-back in Swindon in 2018. I think either 2018 or 2019, and then over lockdown at the beginning of 2021, there was a virtual recording that I attended. I
think I went to one back-to-back, and I kicked myself because I didn't save the kazoo. It was I
got a kazoo. You got a kazoo. I'm so jealous. I haven't got a kazoo yet.
It was like the golden ticket, and I lost it, and I'm so sad. But yeah, I know when I'm writing comedy stuff, I'll think of I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue, because it's my favourite comedy radio show of all time. That and oh gosh, what's the other one? The Great Expectations parody they did ages ago, and oh gosh, it was brilliant. Anyway, when I'm writing, I always write in Jack D's voice. So whenever I think of a line, someone delivering a line, it'll be Jack D. But do you incorporate the Radio 4 comedy into your writing? Do you have, I know you said you don't write a lot of comedy but it kind of flows into your writing quite naturally, but would you say there are any influences from Radio 4 in your work?
I mean, if we're being totally honest, technically this is Radio 4. It is Radio 4, but it's not the Radio 4 comedy panel shows. It's Hitchhikers. Hitchhikers started on Radio 4, and that is probably my number one comic influence of all time. If you listen to the Best Laid Plans, you can just hear Hitchhikers in it. And for a while, when I was starting out writing by myself as an amateur, Hitchhikers was like my go-to template of, this is how to write comedy. This is how to make something funny. And it still tries to creep its way in there quite a lot. I wrote a first draft of a novel over lockdown, and it was very Hitchhikers, but in a way that felt extraordinarily rip-off rather than tribute or sort of influence, which I've spent a long time trying to unpick and sort of be like, okay, what in this novel, this story, is actually me? That's the trouble. You have to find your own angle that actually makes sense, and that people will be like, oh, that sounds like a Ben Ted's script, not that sounds like Ben Ted's doing a Douglas Adams script. Which actually kind of relates to the brief I was talking about earlier, because I was told to do, you have to do in the style of this writer what this writer would do, and I'm just sort of sat there going, but I really don't want to be this writer. I want to be me. I've just got to find a way that I can be me. So the first thing I did was email that writer and go, I've had this brief. What do I do? And they didn't tell me how to be them, which was absolutely not what I wanted them to do. They told me just how they come up with things. And
the process.
And with that, I was able to go, if I take something that I like and something that I've seen recently or whatever and smash that together, then that is unmistakably, unassailably me. That's not me trying to be somebody else. This is an idea that I've had based on somebody else's process. And all of writing is just based on somebody else's process, because you are just trying to copy in many respects, but take templates and just do what other writers have been doing because they're successful. And if you do what they do, then maybe eventually you'll become successful. It's just about finding your own voice within all of those templates, all those things that have been boiled down over the years and years, the various writing guides and Save the Cat, Vogler's Hero's Journey, all those kind of things. It's
yeah. So
that sounded vaguely profound.
that was very profound. Thank you, Ben. Moving on in a lovely, smooth segue here. You've brought a half-finished idea with you. Obviously, you've written some of it already, but there's still a bit to finish off and possibly workshop. In your own words, how did the idea come about, and sort of what's the story?
About 6 years ago, I was discussing the possibility of writing an episode for an animated series that one of my friends was thinking about developing, and it was a pirate animated series. And I don't really remember that much about it, but I do remember that the pirate, the sort of gimmick of it was that this pirate had a beard made of bread. And that, his name was Breadbeard. And that his ship was destroyed by gluten-free nuts, which was really quite funny. And I jotted down a few story ideas for this potential series, and nothing ever came of it. And about a year later, I was just thinking about trying to write something, because I discovered this website called Casting Call, where you could go and submit a project and people could audition for it, and they would do it for free, just as a hobby or to build up their repertoire, portfolio, whatever. And I thought, you know what, it'd be really fun if I wrote a radio comedy to have a go with this website. And I thought back to my initial story ideas for the Pirates, and I thought, you know what, this is great. Let's take some of these ideas, let's create a whole new scenario, a new basis for this comedy, and we're just going to run with it. So, the project that I brought for you today is called The Pirates of the Drunken Dolphin, and it's about a crew of pirates on a ship called the Golden Turkey, who accidentally crash into a pub called the Drunken Dolphin. They discover that the landlord there, who has called herself Rose Buckley, is actually an old pirate, whose name is Captain Swordscar, and she has reformed herself into a model citizen, and in order to escape the law and the clutches of the evil Sir Alexander Piccadilly, who is the sort of lawkeeper in the local area, and she has decided that they must work at the pub in order to pay for the damages, and they're not allowed to do any piratey things to recover the money to pay for the damages. So it's sort of like a sitcom.
Yeah. So is it a series or a self-contained sort of episode, or is it the adventures of these pirates as they navigate pub life?
It's a whole series. I've got 5 complete-ish scripts, five entire scripts.
So this could one day see the light of day.
Potentially. I keep coming back to it. So in my first semester at uni, we had to do like a character bio and a 3-page introduction to that character in screenplay format. So just with minimal dialogues. And I took the main character from this series, Captain Julius Blackchops, and I tried to rewrite him and to see if there was anything that could be pulled out of it. And I have tried to adapt Pirates as a TV show, actually. I did write half of a pilot script, and then I think there's another half of a pilot script somewhere, which is like 2 different versions of the same pilot. But I do really like these characters, because in my head they live quite vividly, and because I've written their adventures and I know what they do, I know their motivations, I know their speech patterns, I think that there is something in there that I can do with them, and I do want to come back to them one day, and maybe, hopefully, I will. They'll see the light of day in some format. Yeah.
Is there anything missing that would make it into a fully fledged sort of airable thing? I think it's a really good idea to do it on radio as well, because you've got the very vivid, colourful lives of these pirates, and you put it on a screen and suddenly it's constrained in the best way by cameras and shooting and conditions and stuff. But is there anything it needs for it to be a fully completed thing?
I think my main struggle was always that I didn't really have much of a through line for the series. So it started off as, when will Sir Alexander Piccadilly find out about these pirates? Because they're such rascals. And then by the end, I was suddenly like, what if all of the pubs in this town have suddenly been employing pirates? And suddenly that's a whole new story arc on its own. And I just sort of didn't... I wrote the series without sort of much knowledge of where it was going, so there's a whole load of ideas and things in there which are just sort of half-finished, half-baked, not really thought through. I didn't even think about where Julius Blackchops had come from, or why he was a pirate, or why he behaved the way he does, until we got round to... until I got to university. And it was then that I came up with a joke of, well, what if he's got a bottle opener instead of a hook? And
very employable pirate, that.
Yes, obviously. And as soon as I started delving more into his psyche and thinking why he is a pirate and why he is the way he is, the more I sort of realised, this is a series about him. This isn't this, and I think that's really what I was missing from that original series. I thought of it as a series about a group of pirates with Captain Blackchops as their leader, but I never really thought about, well, what if Blackchops is actually a person, rather than just a one-dimensional cardboard cutout who's always trying to do things his own way and always trying to get out of his situation in a very piratey way, rather than doing what Rose wants him to do.
Yeah. I suppose what you could think about is whether Captain Blackchops takes himself seriously as a character. Is he a very straightforward pirate, or is there some level underneath him that knows that he is a bit comic, he is a bit sort of, he's got a bottle opener for a hand, and he is trapped inside a comedy?
With Blackchops, there is an element of he's a tryhard. He is trying way too hard to be the biggest, scariest pirate that the world has ever seen, and yet he just can't get away from the fact that his crew are all idiots and his boat is called the Golden Turkey. What a stupid name. And he... In the script that I had to write for the first semester, the Foundations of Story character piece, through that I sort of tried to invoke a sense of, Blackchops does know that what he's doing is a facade. What he's putting forward isn't his real self. It's him trying to run away from something and be somebody else. So I think that he does realise that he is, in a way, trapped in. I wouldn't say a comedy. I'd say that he'd view it as a tragedy, especially with the origin story that I gave him, which is like his mum died in childbirth and his dad got arrested on false charges, which is why Julius hates the government and things. And I don't think that really works. I think I think I was at that point trying too hard to be like, oh, what does my lecturer want out of me from this character, when this was just a character that I'd come up with, a caricature, really. I hadn't really thought about any of why he was the way he was. So I think it would be about sort of like a ground up redevelopment if I wanted to take this forward, of thinking, okay, we've got this caricature of a pirate who is way too loud and way too loud, doesn't listen to anybody except himself, thinks that he's the greatest thing since sliced rum. He's just brilliant. And then underneath that you've got, he goes back to his cabin and takes a bottle of gin and the label falls off and it's just still water. And he just pastes it back on in case anybody else sees, because he knows it's a tragedy, that what's happened to him, and in some way he can't believe it, but in another way he's addicted to it. He can't stop.
Yeah. Wow. That's one hell of a sort of character. So his motivation is to be this icon of pirate-like strength. And you've got sort of the backstory of his dad being arrested on false charges. It would be very tempting to make it piracy.
Yes, yeah, that was
his dad
that
pirated
would be the thing. I think it was something like tax fraud. Like I think I made him like an accountant for the government, and they needed to hide some dodgy dealings, so just lumped it all at his feet and then arrested him on tax fraud charges, so he couldn't talk to him.
Yeah,
I think Sir Alexander might have been responsible for that, but I can't remember.
Oh my god! I suppose you could have sort of him as a young boy seeing his father getting arrested, and him not really understanding that there was a world of numbers and money and sort of we have today money that doesn't exist because it's on credit cards and it's digital, it's on screens. But what he wants to see is proof that it actually exists, that his father didn't get arrested for being involved with all these numbers that just didn't make sense to him. And as a pirate, obviously, you're plundering and there's gold and you steal gold, you commit crimes. It's physical, it's real. So maybe what he wants to do is create a life that's real instead of this life where he can't really see what's going on. He can't really understand what's happening. So a life
of physical processes and actions rather than a life of written numbers on a document.
Yeah. It's a sort of, it's not the strongest character motivation you could have, but it could explain a lot of why he's made himself into this sort of stereotypical strong pirate man. Because it's real, it has force, it has substance. I suppose then getting stuck back at a pub would sort of undermine his whole vision of being this glorious adventurer. And obviously the comedy comes from him taking himself very seriously, and all these sort of patrons coming in like, oh, can you get me a beer, love? With your hand.
Yeah, I think I've got a few jokes about that in the pilot script. So obviously if you're being waited on hand and foot by a pirate, that's quite a contrast to your normal mild-mannered waiter, so it's a lot of bottle smash, oops, and threats, lots of threats, lots of death threats. It wasn't the most nuanced of scripts. I mean, I was 2017, so I must have been 15 or 16 when I wrote it, so it's not the greatest of things in the world, but the series does have jokes in it that I really like, and I do want to use somewhere if at all possible. For instance, in the 5th episode, there is a visual gag which would probably only work on radio, in which the pirate ship, the Golden Turkey, is being attacked by Sir Alexander's forces, and the cabin boy Tim, who for some reason is also Black Chops' number 2, just shouts to everybody, right, offensive positions, and Sir Alexander on the port just stands like, how dare you make those hand gestures?
Oh no, that's a brilliant joke. So it's sort of stuck in a pilot form, but you could definitely see it being made or produced in the future. Would you sort of? It would be a sort of self-contained series, not a one that gets renewed and goes on to sort of further lands.
No, I think it could run. I think that it's got sort of kids animated series type potential, in that you get like a 50 episode long series of 10-minute episodes or whatever, because it does have a lot of potential beyond just the basic story arc of these are pirates who are under reformation by this ex-pirate, because you've got this one location, but they are pirates with a ship, so they can travel, so they can go to other locations within this slightly bizarre, slightly balmy world, where we're not quite sure of the time period, and there might be magic, and there might be some sea creatures like sirens about. Actually, it's quite strange, because the siren story is the one that started it off. The siren story is the one that I was thinking about for this Breadbeard series way back in the day, and it just never materialised. But the fruitcake of destiny, which they go to search for, that did appear.
The holy fruitcake, yeah.
It has the power to restore any food to its freshest state, which Wendy, Black Chop's sister, realises at the critical moment doesn't mean that it'll make like a 3-day-old steak, like a just fresh steak. It will turn that steak back into a cow. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. So if somebody's eaten said steak and you point a fruitcake at their tummy, will they have a cow in their stomach?
Well, they won't just have a cow. Think about all the other things they've eaten.
Oh my god, the potential. Ben, you've created a mass killing machine.
Oh no, what have I done? Oh no!
Ben, this is a mass genocide weapon.
Oh god!
Aside from Ben's genocidal fruitcake of destiny, it sounds like a Radio 4 comedy I would be howling on the floor listening to, especially with you said you were influenced a lot by Hitchhikers, and the Hitchhikers pokes through every sort of script and writing stuff. Maybe even your stand-up comedy module could help you.
I certainly hope so, because last semester I wrote we had 2 short films we had to write, and one I wrote a drama and the other I wrote a comedy, and the comedy one was quite polarizing for the markers, because one was like, this is brilliant, I really liked it, and the other one was like, I didn't find it funny at all. And she broke it down and explained why she didn't find it funny and why it'd been marked down for it. And I read through it and was like, oh, absolutely right. I need to learn how to write jokes and things. So hopefully the comedy module will be helpful. I think what I can do, I can write witty lines, but I'm not great with my timing. I'm not great with comic timing. I need to find the rhythm. I need to find that setup punch rather than witty banter.
Yeah, I struggle a lot with that too. Anyway, Ben Teds, I will be dramatising your extract. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast.
It's been absolutely wonderful to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
That is A-okay. I will leave you lovely listeners to listen to what Ben has made. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Hold tight, crew! It's too late now! We're gonna...
What in the name of Sir Walter Ruddy Rally have you done to my pub?
Your pub? What about my ship? The figurehead's all bent.
And who was the one who crashed it through a wall?
And who was the one that put a pub in the way?
Oh, just you wait till I get Sir Alexander Piccadilly down here. He's ate for pirates like you knows no end.
Ha! That fool! Do you be knowing exactly who you are making your acquaintanceship, miss?
No. Why should I? Wait a bleeding minute. That wanted poster Sir Alexander gave me. Oh, Lordy, I thought that beard looked familiar.
You have heard of me, then?
Captain Julius Blackchops.
Scourge of the seas, robber of rubies, liberator of large quantities of alcohol, and...
Dead meat.
I beg your pardon?
You heard me. Dead meat. You've got a price on your head, and I need to repair the wall you've so kindly knocked down for me.
I will be a-going before ye can even sound the siren. This Sir Piccalilli will only catch a glimpse of us as we sail over the horizon. What bounty have I got on me head?
250 doubloons.
250 doubloons! Davy Jones's beard, what's the point of being a pirate if you're going to be worth dead less than the cost of a new parrot?
Oh. Where are we this time, Captain? Given this is a pub, I'd say this is heaven for me. You must have all died in the crash.
That's quite a crew behind you. How many of you are there?
They tend to dip in and out, week on week.
Will I get reward money for all of you?
Never mind all that. Are ye trembling in ye boots?
Yes, but that's because you knocked a hole in my pub in the middle of October.
Nice job, Julius.
Captain Blackchops.
Deep breath, deep breath.
I will smite you off the edge of the earth.
Oh, good God. How many times do we have to go through this? The globe is round.
Yet your maps are flat.
Look, you lot, are you going to clear off or what? And before you do, give me some gold or something. I've got a wall to fix. No, hang on. I can't take your gold. It'll be stolen. Have you got anything you can pay me with that ain't stolen?
We're not going to pay you anyway, girl. We are a group of perfectly innocent pirates.
Speak for yourself, Captain.
Perfectly innocent pirates who just happened to speed up the falling down of your decrepit shack. It was going to happen anyway.
Maybe so. But you still owe me for any damages that you've done on the premises. Law of Doubloon Bay.
I refuse.
Then I'll send for Sir Alexander, and we'll see how much you like refusing when he slips a noose around your neck.
And what, madam, is stopping us from just running away while you call the guards of the realm?
Your ship appears to be stuck in the wall.
We'll jump off.
It's nearly November. You catch your death as soon as get damp.
We'll jump off this end and go through the door. Lord's alive! What is that beast?
That's a dog, Oscar, and he's smarter than he looks, so watch it.
I'll get my musket and shoot it.
Just you try that and see where it gets you. Well, I suppose if you ain't going to pay me with stolen goods or a mutated bird, then you're going to be working here for the next while.
What did you just say?
You heard me. Work here. Cooking, cleaning, serving. You're going to do all that in this here pub, this fine establishment that is the Drunken Dolphin, until you pay off your debt to me.
You joke.
Oi.
He can't be being serious.
Try me.
I don't know, Captain. I quite fancy working in a pub.
Pub chips, very good, very good.
No, 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 no! We are pirates. We don't serve others. We don't wait on tables. We pick the pockets of others without serving them first. There will be no working in any pubs of any kind, and that is all there is. All right, can I get you a table?
Nicely, Jules, nicely.
There's one over by the window in the corner.
Workshoppable was produced by Catherine Wheeler. My guest this week was Ben Tebbs. This podcast was a production for XPress Radio.